There is also the challenge of cost.
There is also the challenge of cost. There is also the challenge of cost. There is also the challenge of cost.
Whatever claims are made early on,
Whatever claims are made early on, whatever claims are Lenovo's
and whatever benefits they may demonstrate,
and whatever benefits they may demonstrate,
new technologies have a marked, persistent tendency
new technologies have a marked, persistent tendency. New technologies have a marked, persistent tendency
to drive up spending on health in rich countries.
to drive up spending on health in rich countries. To drive up spending on health in rich countries. Whatever claims are made early on, and whatever benefits they may demonstrate. New technologies have a marked, persistent tendency to drive up spending on healthcare, on health in rich countries.
There is no obvious reason to think that
There's no obvious reason to think that.
just because sequencing, data processing, and some forms of machine learning
Just because sequencing, data processing, and some forms of machine learning
are getting cheaper,
are getting cheaper,
their ever greater application to healthcare,
their ever greater application to healthcare,
will drive down costs.
will drive down cost. There's no obvious reason to think that just because sequencing, data processing, and some forms of machine learning are getting cheaper, their ever greater application to healthcare will drive down costs.
친구가 잘할게요.
One reason is that although knowledge may be power,
One reason is that although knowledge may be power,
it may also be a needless worry.
it may also be a needless worry. Needless worry. One reason is that knowledge may be power. It may also be a needless worry.
A DNA test that seems to tell you some of your future,
A DNA test that seems to tell you some of your future.
or a watch that can pick up atrial fibrillation,
A watch that could pick up atrial fibrillation,
may seem great to users.
may seem great to users.
They are less enticing to health systems,
They are less enticing
to users. They are less enticing to health systems
They're less enticing to health systems.
that have to deal with diagnoses which are not in themselves
That have to deal with diagnoses which are in themselves
clinically relevant.
DNA test that seems to tell you some of your future. or watch that can pick up arterial fibrillation may seem great to users. They are less enticing to health systems that have to deal with diagnoses which are not in themselves clinically relevant.
Last year, the New York Times reported
Last year, the New York Times reported
that a period tracking app,
period tracking app,
which also evaluated women's risk of polycystic ovary syndrome,
which also evaluates women's risk of blah blah syndrome,
a hormonal problem,
is
recommending that an improbably large number of its users
was recommending that an improbably large number of users
see their doctors.
See their doctors. Last year, the New York Times reported that period tracking app, which also evaluates women's risk of blah blah syndrome, a hormonal problem, was recommending an improbable large number of users see the doctors.
Trustable intermediaries, such as government healthcare systems, regulators, and reputable insurers, will help consumers to know what works best.
Trustable intermediaries such as government healthcare systems, regulators, and reputable insurers will help customers to know what works best.
They should also be able to help each other.
They should also be able to help each other.
Not everyone is motivated to improve their health.
Not everyone is motivated to improve their health. And
even avid consumers of health data will rarely have the same sense of common cause as people with congenital diseases of
congenital diseases
their families.
and their families. Not everyone is motivated to improve their health, and even avid consumers of health data will rarely have the same sense of common cause as people with the congenital diseases and their families.
But health concerns bring people together. And through supporting each other, they may develop new mechanisms for change. Because health systems look to the needs of the many, personalized medicine will hit its stride.
Personalized medicine will hit its stride.
Only when it can show that its approaches work in the round.
Only when it can show its approaches work in the round. Only when it can show that its approaches work in the round.
But as people get more used to customizing their lives,
customizing their lives
through online services that know what they want, healthcare will get pulled up and know what they want. Through online services that know what they want, healthcare will get pulled along.
Healthcare will get pulled along, but people get more used to customize their lives through online services that know what they want, healthcare will get pulled along.
There will be many false correlations.
There will be many false correlations, privacy violations,
and errors along the way.
There will be many false correlation, previous violations, and errors along the way.
But in the end, people of all sorts will benefit
from being understood
as unique.
From being understood as unique, but in the end, people of all sorts will benefit from being understood as unique.